Welcome to the Geekcentric podcast, and welcome to our spoiler-filled discussion for Marvel Television's Daredevil, Born Again, Season 2. Hello, I'm J-Law, but you can call me Justin. And if you're joining us for the first time, well, we are Geekcentric, a podcast covering the world of movies, TV shows, gaming, and all things geek-centric. And this is our spoiler-filled discussion for Daredevil Born Again, Season 2, a season that somehow raises the stakes, gets darker, and honestly feels that much more real. Hey Geeks, Future Justin here, just chiming in to say we actually recorded this about a month ago. For context, you'll hear us speculating on whether we'll see the Defenders again, if Luke Cage will be coming back, and we even talk a little bit about that Punisher special presentation that's coming up. This was all recorded before the Season 3 leaks, or before we got that Punisher One Last Kill trailer, which looks fantastic, and I'm sure we'll be covering that soon as it comes out in like a week or so. But yeah, that's why we aren't mentioning the latest news that we're aware of today. Anyways, back to the episode. Joining me for today's discussion are two vigilantes that are up to no good. Nate Shelton, Darcy Hudson. How we doing?
Vigilantes are good. We're up to good.
Yes, I guess so. I guess after this finale, vigilantes are the good guys, right?
In general, vigilantes are the good guys.
Vanessa, I long to be good now. Pretty good, right? I think I can pull that off.
Yeah, you could replace him. If Vincent D'Onofrio was like,
That's
maybe
what
I don't want to do
everyone
this anymore.
Me, though.
Yeah.
Nate physically is not as imposing as Vincent D'Onofrio.
No,
No,
I
he's
just
too
do the
soft.
voice work.
He's too
I just
soft.
do the
Yeah,
voiceover.
exactly.
They get a body double. It's fine. It'll be
Sure.
You're
fine.
just doing the ADR and stuff? Okay, I get
That's
it.
it. That's
For
it.
sure.
Call
I don't know
me
if I
in
would
when he
want to
messes up.
see Nate bald though. Like, I don't know if that would look good, right? Bald
No,
Nate.
again, he's not imposing enough.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Justin, I only
he's
started just wearing hats recently. You know,
true.
I was worried that I looked like a sickly child before, and now I've really come into my own with wearing hats. So a bald cap, we'll see. Anything can happen.
Awesome. Well, look, you were going to be getting into spoilers here. So, before we kind of get into everything, I would love to let our listeners know, all the episodes of Daredevil Born Again Season 2 are now streaming on Disney Plus. And we're about to get into full spoilers discussion on this show. So if you haven't finished the season yet, this is your warning. Go watch it and come back. We're going to be talking about the final episode of this season. But before we kind of get into that and the breadcrumbs, if you will, I wanted to kind of kick things off because we are talking spoilers about this season. What was our favorite moment? Preferably not from the finale, from any other episode but the finale.
But all
we'll
my
obviously
favorite
talk
moments
about
were in the no, it's not true. There's so many good moments.
There's this season is chock full of fantastic moments. But yeah, I'd love to know what you guys what were some of your favorites. Darcy, we'll start with you.
I know one of you is going to bring up the diner scene, so I'll just leave that for one of you to take. But I feel like we're talking about Daredevil. You got to talk about hallway scenes. And I think this season's hallway scene was really cool because it was the mirrored one between Daredevil fighting the task force, then Kingpin fighting all the Daredevil vigilante fans or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And just the way they cut back and forth and show just the brutality and just how Fisk is literally just killing people left, right, and center while Matt's doing everything he can to just put them down without killing them. It's just, great hallway scene. And at least there's an epic moment of the showdown between, all Daredevil and Fisk with everybody looking up and around and everyone listening. It was just a really cool moment, I think. Was that 6 or 7? I can't remember what episode that was.
No, that was the finale.
That was the finale.
Yeah.
Listen, he really is a vigilante. Look at this guy.
Yeah, breaking the rules. Yeah, no worries. It's fine.
It's okay. No, I agree with
that
you.
was this episode leading up to it, though.
No.
not.
I
Take that out. Cut it out then.
No, you're good. You're good. Listen, Poindexter, he doesn't have his knives sharp and he's not cutting anything out. That's a great answer because I agree with you, Darcy. I think when I think of this season, and it's something that we touched upon in our spoiler-free review back in, I guess, last month. But this season, the combat and the choreography and the fighting, but I want to really specifically shout out. And I'm sorry, maybe I'm cheating too. Look, we're all bad boys here on the streets of Hell's Kitchen. But the fight sequences, and specifically Jack Duquesne, swordsman, and Jessica Jones, and the way that Daredevil fights alongside them. You know, obviously we've seen him fight with Jessica Jones before, but with Jack Duquesne and the way that they have the camera flying from one moment to another. You have, like, I think in some of those sequences, you know, he throws his baton, and then you see Jack's sword come up and like slice through the camera, and it's just so cool the way that the camera sort of, it's not a one shot, but it feels like a one shot in that prison break sequence. One shot. It is a one shot. Amazing.
Yeah,
that's why it felt that way.
Yeah, it's got fluidity to it, right? It's the camera constantly moving, and the whip pans and stuff like that. And there, to your point, there might be some ways to hide and mask the breaks or cuts to maybe that it's not a one take, but there, from seeing some of the behind the scenes, you could see that there was a lot of, well planned choreography with the fighting and the camera work, so that it really did move with the action. Like there's that you pointed out at episode 3 when they're freeing all of the I guess those who are captured, and him and Jack Kane are just kind of running through kicking ass. There's that scene where he takes his baton and he throws it at the camera, and it whip pans around and it hits one of the task force agents in the face. Like that is obviously a clever way of being able to mask that situation but still give it that fluidity. But to your point, it all helped to kind of give this constant movement in those scenes where it never felt like the camera broke.
Yeah, I mean, dude, the doors, the Jessica Jones, like, and how it highlights, I think, too, to what we're talking about, it highlights their individual strengths and combat styles. Jessica Jones just being like, I'm just gonna pick up a door and smash a guy,
break shit, basically, yeah,
just breaks shit, but having her hit him into the air almost like he's a baseball off a baseball bat, and then Daredevil swinging in, high knee to the face, like. It was so cool, and I just think this season they've stepped it up the most that we've ever seen when it comes to any of the combat moments. So of course those are going to be a highlight, and absolutely, Darcy, the double hallway, the fact that they're like, not just one hallway scene, we're going to give you 2. It's like they know what we want, they know we're weak for it. But Justin, I'm sure you've got a favorite moment, and you're going to be a goody two shoes and follow the rules. So go for it.
Well, yeah, because I designed the whole episode this way. No, I again, going back to fight choreography and the way things are shot, the moments that we've all selected are, around the action, because those were some memorable moments from the season. And yeah, Darcy, you called it. The diner scene was tremendous. I absolutely love that. For me, what I loved about it is that it's just pure mayhem. The way he delivers his own version of justice with a smile. It's honestly terrifying, but also kind of hilarious at the same time. And that's what makes the scene work so well. It walks that perfect line between tension and dark humor. And you're on the edge of the entire time of just like waiting for him to kind of snap, right? When Poindexter to snap. And when he does snap into it, it really goes to town. And, there's these little moments of levity that make it even more unsettling. Like
the lobster claw.
Yeah, the lobster claw. Or when he stops the guy and he's like, bringing a dog into a restaurant is incredibly unsanitary. Right?
I'm not going to kill you. Just who does that?
I'm not going to kill you. I'm not going to kill you. Don't worry. But just think about your actions. Like, and this is so funny and rich, because here is Poindexter, Bullseye, who is kind of in a place where he's reflecting on his decisions, the decisions he's made, and why he's kind of enacting this sort of ploy or trap for these task force people. Is because he's trying to do some
He's
good.
trying to kill for the right reason now.
Yeah,
as opposed to just
right.
killing for no reason.
He's trying to be a weapon that can be utilized in a proper way.
Mm-hmm.
So again, like we were saying before, it's shot like all the action sequences. It's shot incredibly well. The way the camera moves through the space, the way it kind of like feels very fluid, and you don't really get that sense of a camera break. But again, this is why I love this show. And as we were just talking about it, it's like we have this sense of attention to action and attention to detail that feels very very on point for what we would expect from Daredevil, especially going back to like season 1 on the Netflix series. Like, we reference the hallway, the fight in that first season. We referenced the street brawl between, Fisk and Daredevil at the end of that. And there's just some brutal action, some of the most brutal action that we've seen in the landscape of Marvel. So to see that carried over here and with the same level of attention to detail, it's really well done. It's really well done.
Yeah, I love the violence. I think one of the things that really sells the violence, like we talked about last season and this season as well, is the sound design. And like another punch that resonated throughout this series is the Fisk fight. And that punch he lands on the guy, like whoever he was fighting there, and the crunch. And then the second one to punch him down that led into that amazing fight where Bullseye's trying to kill Fisk while Daredevil's trying to stop Bullseye, and Fisk is trying to kill Daredevil. Just the crazy fight that happened there, and that sequence is incredible. And just like the sounds, they stick with you. Every punch, the crunch, the bones. Oh, you feel it. It's great. I love it.
And I want to circle around that you brought up sound. I was going to bring up Toby Leonard Moore back as Wesley, which is amazing. That was a phenomenal moment. But yes, sticking on the theme of sound, or more or less the removal of sound. I think the hardest hitting moment was with Ayala's death last season, and they cut to the credits, and it was just the cuckoo frogs on the beach that he had described, right? And we just hear that, and it just is such a gut punch. And I think this season we got 2 moments almost back to back like that with the death of Vanessa and the death of Daniel. And both of these people who are, sort of tied up in Fisk's world, and who kind of really, one of them kind of wants to be there and one of them really doesn't want to. And just sort of the way that they played those, literally just those last seconds out with Fisk and Vanessa dying, it was one of those moments where you're watching this monster, and yet you're seeing him lose the last thread of his humanity, but you also see that humanity. You see that human moment, that very human moment where he is just in absolute just shock and awe and just absolutely torn apart. And for a brief second, you kind of feel bad. Like I felt bad for Vanessa, obviously, but I felt bad for Fisk for the monochrome of a second, because in that moment I just saw a human lose the only thing that's keeping his humanity alive. So that was hard hitting. And then just with Daniel, the whole sequence between him and Buck, I thought, like, I'm like, these guys are buddies. They're friends. Buck, you're not going to do this. And he pulls the trigger, and we just cut to black. And I was like, damn. Like, it just, and what Michael Gandolfini's character, what Daniel says in that moment, I'm rambling, I know, I'm sorry. But those 2 sequences, when we talk about sound design and the way they remove that sound, is unbelievable.
Yeah, the death of Daniel was a hard one to swallow. The whole deke out with Vanessa was interesting, right? Because like at the end of episode 4, you're like, oh, did she die?
She pulled through, yeah.
And then she pulled through in episode 5, and you're like, okay, all right, he's gonna be okay. And then at the end of that episode, they're like, oh no, she's dead. No. Right? So that was quite the I guess I don't know what you would call that, the Houdini, if you will, of it all. But like,
yeah,
it was an interesting choice. But yeah, Daniel was the one that I was hoping that they wouldn't kill. But I guess this is going to influence BB, and trying to seek justice for that. So we'll talk about that
again. A cut to black. Buck could have just shot beside his head, and I don't know.
But he shot him, and then he got his jacket and he walked away, right? Like he walked away, and then he looked back, and then it cut to black. So it's like, I think like to your point, there could be some ambiguity there.
Just saying, we didn't see it necessarily. Yeah. It's a comic rules.
Think about that. The idea that maybe it's like, this is your only opportunity to escape. leave now and never look
never
back?
come back, like disappear type thing. I don't know.
Oh,
That was,
man.
I'm pretty sure he's dead. I was just saying because we didn't see it.
Oh.
The little comic nerd in me was like, oh, he could be alive
You
still.
push your glasses right up there, eh?
Yeah, he could be. You know, there is always that chance. I would be very impressed if they were able to pull that
If they make
off.
it matter or count, sure,
Right?
I'd buy it then. But it just seems cheap at this
exactly.
point.
Especially given the fact that, like, you know, there's a lot to be said about Daniel's character and the sort of how conflicted he was to a certain degree about his actions. But yeah, there's tons of great moments from this season. You know, we've picked some of our favorites, and you know, there's a lot more to talk about in regards to this show and the finale, where it all leads us to. Before we kind of get into the breadcrumbs of it all and where we're left with, you know, kind of for the next season and future events, let's talk about just the finale itself. And I kind of just want to start right there. Like, did it work for you guys? Did you feel, you know, happy with that conclusion? I'm going to throw it to you, Darcy, first, because even on our spoiler-free review, you mentioned how the finale felt very poetic, and I'd love for you to expand on that.
Yeah, I mean, I think it landed very well because I completely forgot that there was a fight scene in it because I was so focused on the last half with it ending in a courtroom and with Matt just basically, again, the only way Daredevil can beat Kingpin is if he goes Matt versus Fisk in the court of law and the public exposing everything that has happened. He is the perfect eyewitness to these things, and he will hold himself accountable when he's done, which is what he does, which is incredible. So I don't know. It makes so much sense that after how many years of him fighting this guy in the dark and in the shadows and stuff like that, that the only way you can do this is fighting him in the court of the law through due process and all that stuff in the eyes of the public, where everything is open. So I don't know, just the way that it gets there, it worked so well for me.
Yeah. I think starting the first half like that with a sort of courtroom procedural felt kind of unusual, but then you kind of settle into it and you're like, no, this makes perfect sense for reasons that you described.
Well, the fact that we didn't really have a lot of that this entire season, right? Even the first season of Daredevil Born Again, there was a decent amount of that. And I think coming into this season, it felt like, okay, well, we've got to move. We're building an army. We have to move. And, you know, just stuff is popping off, stuff is happening. And so for them to slow down this finale was amazing. It was perfect. And it was exactly what I think people would expect and hope for from the, you know, again, the more Netflix side of Daredevil. And I thought it was the perfect choice. I think the moment of him and his reveal was spectacular, and albeit a little cheesy with him throwing his like walking stick and it flies around, and they're like, "That's proof," and of course it is. But I just mean, like, it was just it was cool and also cheesy at the same time, and also just, yeah, I am Daredevil, and especially Kingpin right before that saying, "You are a fool." I think this finale was probably one of the best of the finales for just Daredevil in general.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think for me, what I liked about it was like how you described it, Darcy. It's poetic. You know, it's justice being served exactly. It's exactly what Matt has been sort of wrestling
Fighting
with all
for
season, and trying to figure out, and especially as he goes through his vigilante experience of being Daredevil, you know, how does he balance these two, right? But it does come at a cost. He had to reveal himself and sort of checkmate Fisk in that moment while he was on the stand, because he put himself on the stand, so he had to then go one step further and checkmate him in that. And what I really loved is just how it all ties. It all just, I loved how it ties all the way back to season 1 to a certain degree, like of Netflix, the Netflix series. You know, back then we all wanted this sort of raw street level brawl between Daredevil and Kingpin, and that's what we ended with at the end of that season. And while we got that version over the years, this felt like the one that really delivered on a promise of what Matt was seeking to kind of achieve, which was, you know, actually serving Kingpin based on justice, right? Because we've had our their fists their brawls together. Even in this season, I think it's episode 6. At the end of episode 6, where he confronts him in his like little like art dungeon room, and they kind of
breaks
go at
the painting.
Yeah, and they break the painting. Oh, that he was not happy about that. But like, Matt is been constantly negotiating, what is the right way to deal with Fisk, right? Because he, in some ways, I think feels like he's exasperated this situation. He's made Fisk a sort of more of a problem, and he doesn't think that he kind of handles it, which is why he's leaning so much on like Karen Page through the season to kind of like have what is her take, like how do we proceed. Like he's always the one with the decisions and making the decisions, and this season it felt like he was leaning more on Karen Page and others around him to kind of help help figure out all of this. So the finale answers the question, and it in the most Daredevil way possible, I feel like. And it's messy, but it's costly, and but it feels right. To Nate's point, it did feel a little cheesy to do the whole like, I am Daredevil, I am Iron Man sort of thing.
Well, there's only so many ways you can say you are someone.
For sure. But like
Daredevil, I be.
I Daredevil am. And yeah, it wasn't just a fight, and what we got after that court, because that first half of the episode was all that courtroom procedural stuff, and then the second half was full out brawl, and it was really great to see the city of New York come to the rescue of Daredevil to a certain degree, right? To kind of understand what they had to go through. And yeah, you mentioned it, that hallway scene, that juxtaposition of hallway scenes, like those people are either dead or severely injured, right?
He bent that one guy around a pillar, man. Like right. He is like dead. That guy's
polarized, like he's fucking paralyzed.
His spine is in like 7 pieces at least. Oh, that first punch, he's dead. Like that guy's dead.
Oh yeah, boo! And he says boo, right? And
and just the bone crunching you hear as he slams into the wall and slides down.
Oh, yeah, dude, it was nuts.
And it was one of those things where it also kind of like, when we think of the great hallway scenes, obviously the Darth Vader of it all came to mind, but just seeing those people run at him, but then instantly all of them are screaming, trying to get out of this just horrific thing that is, coming towards them was awful and just absolutely wild. But no, I think even just leading up to that moment, though, I do want to highlight, because we talked about him quite a bit in our spoiler free, how much we loved him. Wilson Bethel's moment of sort of kicking this whole thing off of when he is going to shoot Buck, or shoot. I think he's initially aiming for Fisk, but the moment that he goes in the room and he sees the guy dressed as Bullseye. And the way that he takes those guys out is just absolutely insane. But then just that fight between him and that one line, just poser, was just, again, you talk, Justin, about the idea of like, how can we feel like this guy that killed Foggy is like kind of working for us now? You know what I mean? He kind of like, we're kind of coming around to
sure,
kind of being on his side a little bit now. Those moments and lines like that are like, yeah, hell yeah, Bullseye. That was sick.
Yeah, that was definitely a peak moment for him. And it was nice to see him kind of get some sort of retribution out of this whole thing. He wasn't Fisk, right? But it was Buck, which was pretty close to. I guess we don't really know what ended up happening with Buck at the end of it all, but I'm sure he's alive and licking his wounds, if you will. But there was a lot of breadcrumbs left at the end of this episode, a lot of different things. I'm going to kind of go through a little bit of a list here. I think the first thing I want to kind of talk about is a character who we've seen kind of sort of consumed by her own PTSD through of the Muse, and that's Dr. Heather Glenn. And at the end here, we see her go to the drawer and kind of pull out the mask and put it on, and it almost signifies that she's becoming the Muse. Like, is that what we're gathering? Is there precedence for that, Darcy?
No, because so the Muse, there's only ever been one Muse, and it was the one that was based for that first season. So I'm not sure if this is them trying to continue on the character or mantle. The thing I'm wondering about is if she's going to go as far as Muse did with the whole art pieces type thing. Like, that was what made Muse weird was that he made art pieces of all his murders. She seems like she's just in it for the whole power trip and just being in control thing, which is definitely, again, exhibited throughout this season. I don't know. It's a neat idea, the fact that we might see this character return in a new form just through the way that he haunts one of his victims type thing. It's cool.
Yeah, I almost feel if they're going to kind of go, and this might be pulling more from like DC side of things, but maybe go more of like a Scarecrow route with her, and kind of like do like the villain therapist kind of vibe. And, we kind of saw that a little bit from her with her meeting with Karen in this episode and the finale. And it was, I was like, damn, Heather, like, relax. Like you're going crazy right now. you're and even just like, she's got punches. I mean, that lawyer that was like, hey, baby, why don't you and me get out of here? I don't want to put my suit on that guy, even though he's dying or whatever.
She throat punched him so hard.
That guy. Like, I don't think he's like breathing anymore. Like, so she clearly has some semblance of like a physicality. She's got just
but
stuff
she's
going on with her brain.
Because she's defensive because of what happened, right? Like even Buck made her strangle him, right? Like she's like, show me what you did. Oh yeah,
for sure.
Yeah, there was some eroticism,
like
that was
psychosexual tension.
Yeah. I think this is a huge shift for her character. I thought it was interesting to kind of show how she was, taking a character like Heather and pushing her into something darker, potentially becoming the Muse. It just opens up a completely new psychological layer for her and the show in terms of just how I guess the emotional and physical impact that these events can have on people, and her being an example of that. And I just think that in a lot of ways, her sort of journey, I guess, if you will, kind of does surmise a lot of what we were seeing throughout this season, which is, themes of identity, control, and even just transformation to a certain degree. And she's kind of like the sort of little antithesis of it all, you know what I mean, if you will, or the example of it all that kind of comes out of the other end of this season. But I thought it was really interesting, and her story was very interesting, and to see her shift throughout the season, I think it was well placed and well placed and well paced. That let's say that throughout the season, that it felt like, it didn't just all happen at once. We saw little glimpses of it as we moved through the season, especially the way she was bending the law and like, doing things like her own etiquette and morals were sort of diminishing because she was afraid, right? She was scared, and that's why she was doing the things like, even you brought up, there wasn't that much courtroom procedural. There was a big moment for the swordsman in this season, the whole courtroom of it all, where he was on trial and he was being basically set as an example on television to how the vigilantes are going to be handled and so on and so forth. I think it was episode 3, if I'm not mistaken, before the big breakout and everything. But again, to see how she kind of broke her own moral code to kind of appease someone like a Fisk, it's very interesting to see that the character's got some, I guess, like you said, Nate, like something in her that we'll explore more of.
Well, and I think, and I know we talked about how we like when this show feels more like the, not the MCU-ified of everything has to be connected. But I will say, I think Mephisto would be a sick pairing with this Muse, this Heather Glenn version of Muse. I think would be a really intriguing, and you get like devil versus devil stuff going on, dude.
Well, you think too that that's probably what caused her to snap too, right? Is the fact that he revealed himself in the courtroom while she was there, and she's had so many problems like letting go of her relationship with Matt. So I think a lot of what finally turned her was realizing that he had been hiding behind a mask the entire time. Right? Okay. And that's what sort of forced her on the edge. So, I like the idea though of Mephisto getting up in this and, causing some problems.
I mean, if we're talking about, just going back to her mask thing, the whole reveal is the fact that she puts the mask on and sees herself. She was talking about how vigilantes' masks are their true personas.
Yes.
So that's immediately the connection you make when you see that scene. So Muse is who she is now. That's who she is this psycho who's going to go do crazy things when whatever whatever way she wants, I guess.
I love it.
We'll see. I'm wondering if she's going to be like not like a main villain next season, but like someone who's on the fringes and like someone that Matt's aware of, or well, we don't know what's going to happen with Matt, so we'll get to that. But someone who's committing crimes and so on and like that, and we don't really get to follow them, but we just hear about it and we just kind of like, oh, is that Heather?
I
Is
mean,
the
a
muse?
great
Like,
villain for Jessica Jones, all PTSD.
oh, there you go.
Mirroring
There you
right
go.
there.
You just answered it. And while we answered it, let's move to the next little breadcrumb, because I think Heather has had a good amount of our time already. Let's talk
Good amount
about
of bread.
yeah, she's got a lot of bread. Let's talk
Like a duck in a
about
pond.
Jessica Jones and the arrival of Luke Cage. I think everyone was suspecting, or at least I was. I'm like, this guy's got to show up at some point. And he did. And what was really cool, it was with Jessica and her daughter Danielle, if I'm not mistaken, is her name. They were in a office in New York, and Luke walks in through the door, and it's clear that there's a relationship that's obviously there. We now understand, obviously, that that Danielle is father is Luke Cage. If that wasn't clear after, I think it was actually, it was in the finale that they made that clear before, when Jessica confronts Mr. Charles, but he was working for Mr. Charles, which was very interesting. And now Mr. Charles has relinquished him back to Jessica and has taken Poindexter, Mr. Bullseye, as his new counterpart. So a lot to kind of unpack there. First, let's talk about Luke Cage. Were you guys surprised, or were you suspecting it as well?
I mean, again, fan of the comics. As soon as I heard the name Danielle, I'm like, okay, that's Luke Cage's baby. She goes on to do great things in the comics, so it was an easy answer for me.
Hopefully she learns what a grenade, like a smoke grenade is.
Yeah, it was like a flashbang or something.
Like,
just
maybe
shaking it
don't.
around.
It's not a wand, okay, Danielle.
No.
Like, your mom's got to teach you a little bit more there. But yeah, no, I was.
How
also
early
very...
are you training your kid? But like deadly weapons.
Listen, it's Jessica Jones.
You need to
Get
let
her
them
ready.
be kids
so.
before you start teaching them, I guess, what the weapons are.
Mhm.
There's been a lot of chatter about Mike Coulter's return. I think he's actually even talked about it on a couple podcasts where he said, like, he's spoken with Marvel. They would like to bring him in. It's just a matter of how and when. And this is obviously a perfect avenue. But it's more or less, it wasn't even the fact that it was just like his arrival. It's when Jessica shuts the door and we see, as you mentioned, Alias on the front. And that was a whole, if I'm not mistaken, that was a whole comic book series.
Yep.
Where it was like sort of these crime solving stories that Jessica and and Luke would kind of go through, and now they're a family as a whole. So I love the idea that maybe Dr. Heather Glenn is like a serial killer that Jessica Jones is chasing after and doesn't have enough information about, but is going after, as a future story. And that's where, like we were saying in the spoiler free, Jessica Jones's involvement, while very appreciated, and it was lovely to have her there, it didn't feel like it was necessarily, it just felt like it was more of a stepping stone for her to just be back in the MCU, rather to be like really integral or pivotal in this story. She had her moments for sure, but I think what excites me is now that she's in the MCU, where is she going to show up next? Right? How is she going to show up next?
Yeah, again, I don't think you'd show the investigations as they're planning on doing something in some form. I mean, it's really hard to tell what direction they're going to go with the rumors of a soft reboot happening after Secret Wars. So they might wait till the dust settles for that before they go forward with anything.
I think
I
so.
feel like
we're
not. This isn't the last we've seen of them. To be fair,
for sure,
you wouldn't bring these characters back to just leave them in this office where no one's going to see them again.
Right, exactly. And like, I think to your point, it's to kind of just hint at the idea we can come back to this, right?
Yeah,
so,
and it is a
just like most
universe.
of the stuff that they use. Exactly.
It's canonizing a lot of stuff that was still kind of up in the air, if you will. Like these adventures happen to some extent, and they are friends now. And again, they would let each other know when shit's going down in the city.
Well, it's interesting too because they haven't brought in or mentioned Iron Fist at all. So
Yeah, and what my biggest thing is, how come we heard nothing about that Spider Menace? It's just we're talking about Spider-Man going back to street level. New York is his playground, and Fisk would be gunning for him just as much. It's weird that we didn't get a throwaway Spider-Man line.
I know, but they can't. They can throw away a Spider-Man line, but they can't involve Spider-Man.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I just wanted a Spider-Man line. I wanted a
Oh,
line
sorry,
about Spider-Man.
my apologies.
We got
Yes.
nothing about him in this War Against Vigilantes. He's like the most brightly colored vigilante out there. How can we not know about him?
You have Fisk in the courtroom just like, I knew he was Daredevil. I only really like one vigilante, the Spider-Man.
That Spider Kid is nice.
I love that Spider Kid. He's kind of cool. Or what? Because I think, isn't there, correct me if I'm wrong, Darcy, isn't there like something where in the comics there's a storyline where Darcy, where Fisk really sort of puts Spider-Man in the forefront almost and pretends like he's his favorite to kind of get all the other vigilantes sort of against Spider-Man or something like
that's
that?
during, I'm pretty sure that's during one of his mayoral runs in the comics, because Spider-Man is usually when he's facing, when he's in power at least.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, I feel that sounds familiar. It's, again, there's so many comics, it's hard to keep them all straight in my head. I'm sorry.
For sure. No worries. No worries. Well, that's, I think there's more to talk about that in a little bit.
Sorry.
As we kind of get through. No worries. But let's talk about the Bullseye and Mr. Charles, because like we kind of didn't talk about it very much. Who the fuck is Mr. Charles? Like, who is he? Like, because like they never answered the question in this show. I love Matthew Lillard. I think he's fantastic. He was great in this role. I even referenced how he's kind of a Val, if you will, and it seems like his boss is Val based on episode 1. The Attorney General basically had his ass chewed out by Val and was like, okay, well, fine, it's fine. Okay, Mr. Fisk, you can do whatever you want. So who is he? And like, is there anyone that you could think of maybe from the comics, Darcy, that would kind of be a Mr. Charles character?
I am not getting anything. Again, I'm a bit removed. They could have introduced a character in recent years, but as far as I know most of the government people, and we've gotten a lot of them in throughout the movies and in S.H.I.E.L.D. or other positions anyways. But yeah, I don't know. I love the idea that we have the government is still in play here, wanting to get powers for themselves. And I mentioned it after we wrapped the spoiler-filled that I always thought like this feels like it's almost like they're leading towards a Dark Avengers team almost, where because we had someone trying to pose as Bullseye and take the shot, immediately made me think of, Bullseye was once Daredevil in the comics, and other heroes or villains filling the role of their arch enemy hero to try and fight for the government when really they're still doing shady things. It leads to a cool idea in my head where we could get that story eventually. Again, I gotta know what they were doing and where they're fighting. Really, that's the big thing, because if Luke was there, it's somewhere dangerous. Like,
well, like even just the whole thing of it all, and maybe this is like a sub sort of element to our discussion here, but like things that didn't really get resolved, right? Like the weapons, were they really important? I guess not. Do you know what I mean? They were just a means to kind of like establish, but where were they going? Where were they actually going? Like, they were supposed to go to some other country to help start a war or something like that, but like, and Mr. Charles was kind of using Kingpin and was trying to help, initiate or I guess facilitate that transfer. But like, again, there's just a couple things that felt like they were just kind of built into the story, but we never really kind of get a resolution to, like, again, Mr. Charles and what's going on with him. I hope he shows up again. I do hope
I think he's gotta. I feel like these breadcrumbs were intentionally planted for a what's next after Fisk type thing for whoever hero we're going to follow or whatever, because again, we don't know when Daredevil's coming back to the streets, but I think it is more setting up that this is a potential threat in New York now, or at least in the MCU. Like, the government still kind of sucks.
Yeah, I'm glad that, that's true. I am glad though that Bullseye is sticking around, and he's gonna have an opportunity to redeem himself, but I think he's never gonna actually fully be able to redeem himself in the eyes of like Karen Page and Matt Murdock. So
I just want to see a showdown between Bullseye, Buck, and Hawkeye. That's what I want. I think that would be kind of a dope sort of 3-way fight if we were ever going to find a way. What's Bullseye's going to win?
Pretty sure Bullseye wins that. Yeah,
probably.
Bullseye
but
and Hawkeye are
pretty. Yeah.
are pretty like they're I don't know, like they're like I don't
Pretty
know,
sure in the comics, Bullseye has like one of the fastest like Twitch responses in like all the characters that are sharpshooters or whatever. Like he is almost superhuman without being superhuman.
I mean, he killed a guy with his tooth last season, so
yeah, that was pretty wild. That was pretty wild. I think that was one of the coolest kill scenes ever. All right, let's move on to our last two sort of breadcrumbs, if you will. Fisk on an island in the sun. What the fuck? Like seriously, this guy just pummeled random people like citizens in the courtroom, and he was then sent off to a beautiful beach, I guess, as Nate said, to have the life that Vanessa always wanted for him. So what do you guys think? Do you think like he's not going to stay there for too long?
Well, first, I want to just say to what you mentioned there, like, I think when we're talking about poetic, Darcy, this is exactly it, right? It shows kind of how important vigilantes like Daredevil are in this universe, that even the justice system that Matt Murdock works within still betrays him, and he still ends up in jail for truly being a hero. Well, Fisk, this monster, is exiled to what you said, Justin, that freedom, right? But I think it's interesting because you see just how happy Matt Murdock is, even though he knows what his fate is going to end up being. Him and Karen at that Indian restaurant just before he gets taken away. And then you just see how broken, and it looks like Fisk is looking at that painting. Like, I love how they shot that, and they capture that exact sort of framing of when he would look at that painting and he was enamored by that painting in the art gallery where he met Vanessa, then follow it up all the way to this moment. But him being exiled, I agree with you, Justin. I don't fully understand how that's going to work, how that's justice. Does he have a giant ankle monitor that's like a neck monitor, but on his ankle, because his ankles are probably really big? Like,
I don't know about you guys, but like when they showed his face, he looked uncomfortable. And I'm not saying like I think he feel like he looked uncomfortable because he was like, fuck, I'm on a beach.
He lived for the city. Like, he truly loves New York. So
yeah, exactly. I don't think he's happy about the fact that he's in the situation that he's in.
He hates
even
sand.
He hates sand. He gets everywhere. So like there obviously they're shooting season 3. That's not news to anyone. So there is going to be a reason for him to have to come back to New York, and for us to continue this dialogue between Fisk and Matt and Daredevil. But yeah, like I'm not sure how we get there. I'm not sure how we get there or how the situation is, because even Fisk's journey has been sort of like into this MCU until we kind of got him to Daredevil has been kind of turbulent, if you will, showing up in Hawkeye, right, to a certain degree, and then being an Echo, and then now
does he still have a robot eye? Did we ever figure that out? I don't know. We don't know.
Yeah, he still has a scar, but he still has a scar. You can see it on the close-up.
So that continuity is still accurate.
Yeah. And then like I thought there was like something maybe from Hawkeye that hinted at like he was jacked with super soldier formula or something along those lines. I can't remember that.
No, he is just 4% muscle mass. That's his whole thing.
The biggest thing I remember from Hawkeye was his shirt, his beautiful
Hawaiian
shirt that he was rocking, and
at Christmas,
I think right. But I think the idea behind that was to kind of give that idea of like the island, right? Vanessa brings it up, like, let's go back. Like, I want to go back on that vacation, and so for him to end up on an island, I don't know if it's the same one. I hope not. I hope he has like really no amenities at all. Because if he's just like chilling there, they got like little coconuts coming out with like little straws and little umbrellas.
Well, maybe that's the layer though of why he's uncomfortable, is that he's not there with Vanessa. Like,
right.
The other layer of it. So, I guess we'll have to see how that all pans out. But let's get to this last one here. Matt goes to jail. This is massive. Putting Matt behind bars really flips everything we know about this character, right? Like, like you said, like it's the justice system that he was fighting for now has gone against him. they know who he is, they know who his identity. It's really interesting. But that said, I wonder if we'll see him show up in a upcoming film, which is Spider-Man: Brand New Day. And I think that makes a lot of sense given the involvement of the hand that we've seen in that trailer, the jail scene that's in there. Like, now it just kind of makes sense. Am I losing anyone here, or no? Does it feel about right?
Well, people are moving on from speculation of Sadie Sink's character being Jean Grey into her being Typhoid Mary. I've been now seeing that's kind of the general populist shift, is more of people are talking about the opportunities for what kind of character she could be. Her being in some sort of vigilante prison does make a lot of sense. I'm wondering if she would be in the same prison, though, as someone like Matt Murdock. I think I would love
Her
to see that happen.
Her prison feels like it would be something different, like she's being studied. Do you know what I mean? Because I think that Typhoid Mary, there's a bit more of a mutant side to her, if you will, that can be explored in relation to what it seems like Peter will be going through as he's evolving into man spider, if you will. So I think that there's a level of intrigue around Sadie's character that's fueling a understanding of mutation and mutants that is going to help understand what's going on with Peter to a certain degree. But like a full-on jail cell scene with the hand is very evident in that trailer. Like, we're talking bars on the wall kind of scene, and we do know that there's supposed to be, from set photo reveals, there's a prison break scene that happens with Scorpion that was shot out in broad daylight, and so this might be a part of that as well. But I'm wondering if there's reason to think that Daredevil or Matt is also part of that escape plan.
I want that to be the case, because I would love to see him show up and in the fight that everyone is like, that you're saying, like, he could be scrubbed out of that one sequence in that trailer. But the only thing that I also really do want to see, though, is his interactions in jail, because he is surrounded by the task force. They are in the same jail that he is. So I think there would be a slight missed opportunity if we didn't get to see any sort of outcome from that. If they're in that movie, that's cool too. Maybe just that one guy and Punisher runs him over with a tank. Awesome. I'm down. I'm so down for that. That would be great. But just some sort of resolution.
It could be a flashback, it could be a flashback in the next season. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
true. That's true.
You know what I mean? Like, of something, or maybe he's already broken out. You know what I mean? But like, yeah,
he wouldn't break out.
He's in jail. He wouldn't break out, eh?
No, because he believes in due process and in the law and justice, and he is tried in court. He will serve his time and do it with diligence. Pretty sure in the comics he goes to jail for murder. I think in Zdarsky's run he gets sent to jail for murder. So this has happened before. He believes in the system basically. So I don't see him trying to break out in that breakout thing, and he might be helping trying to get them back in type thing. If sure, something like that. So.
And then he goes back in and closes the jail door on himself.
Well, like, again, like,
he would do that.
Yeah, it's true. That's true. Punisher's is going to be in Spider-Man as well, right?
Yes.
What's really great is at the end of this finale, 1 week from today, we're going to be getting that one shot of that
so
special
stoked.
1 hour presentation for Punisher. So it's literally following the end of Daredevil and giving us a Punisher story, which is going to set us up for Spider-Man as well, right?
And it's going to be Punisher breaking out of the sequence that where Jack Duquesne was being held, right? Like,
I believe there's something that's involved with that. Yes.
Yeah.
But I think it's really going to be centered because it is called One Last Kill. At the point of when we're recording this, we haven't seen anything in regards to this yet, but we just seen a announcement and a poster. But I feel like it's called One Last Kill. There might be a score that hasn't been settled yet that Punisher is out to settle, and I think that they will focus on that for this one shot, and maybe the either importance or significance to to him of that character that he's chasing down or something. So who knows?
I hope it's that task force agent we followed throughout this whole season, and then just ended up in jail and not dead. I would love to see that.
Does he have like powers or anything, or did he just get hit when Jessica Jones didn't have powers? That's
he got hit when Jessica Jones did not have powers.
Like, so that there was
yes.
Okay.
And there's another another thing that they like seed planted, and it was like, are we not going to talk about the fact that her powers come and go? Like, you know what I mean?
Well,
like,
they're tied to emotions again. If you watched her show, you understand that much. So you can understand she's not centered because her husband is somewhere fighting some war he doesn't want to be part of. So you understand why her powers all over the place.
Yeah, I guess yes, that was referenced in the show. So, but like it felt weird to kind of put that in there and then make it maybe not like kind of at least give us a response as to what was happening, right? I guess maybe then that the idea is to understand that she's going through a lot. So that makes
she's got shit going on that we don't see right now.
Yeah, exactly. Justified. Okay, cool. That's why you're on these shows, Darcy. You always know how to sway us the other way. So but that was it for in terms of breadcrumbs and little things that were left at the end of this finale for Daredevil Born Again. Was there anything else that stood out to you guys that you want to bring up? Or
I mean, I think it'll be great to see Angela hopefully in the future at some point. I hope they don't just leave that character alone. I'd love to see her as like kind of like she was jumping off the walls at certain points.
Oh yeah, it was cool at the end there in the hallway
So
scene where
sick.
she was like
the claws.
like and then she like took the gun and she was like going to town, right? Like it was interesting, like you said, in that moment, Darcy, where you're seeing like these two hallway battles happening, just the brutality that's happening in both, right? How justice is being served, and if you will, in both of those hallways is interesting. And yeah, Angela just bouncing off the walls like a meerkat, just like freaking clawing, and just takes that gun and just I was like, okay, she has upgraded,
bashing that guy's head in. Yeah.
She is no longer in high school, she's just killing people in general. So here we go.
But I think as far as like any other breadcrumbs, it's just how BB's going to play into the third season, and just ultimately what we were talking about with Heather. Oh, sorry, Darcy's got something.
Sorry, I meant one of the things I want to talk about BB. I feel like if anything, we're going to see her pop up in Spider-Man, because Ulrich was always a huge connection to Peter Parker, and we don't have Ben anymore. The next best thing would have a BB relationship, someone who's closer to his age that he could have this rapport with and help him get these inside scoops that he needs as a street level character. It came to me watching that last episode. I'm like, I can see her going to find Spidey, and that'll be her new partner in crime, because Daredevil's behind bars. So like she needs a hero to kind of help fight the system. So yeah, that's just popped to me, and I love that idea for myself. So
yeah, I like that. I think she's going to chase for justice for Daniel now, right? Like, I think that's going to be her motivation, because she's doing what she's able to do because he let her live to a degree, right? He took the sacrifice, and she knows that he's probably dead, right? So,
but the fact that they're already shooting, and just like how we're just like, we honestly, like, I just don't know who the villain is, right? We talked about Muse like potentially being, Heather kind of in the background. Mr. Charles, I guess, is going to be kind of our big bad, or are we getting a whole brand new big bad? You know what I mean?
Well, I think you're on, Darcy or Nate. Well, I'm not sure which one of you brought it up, but like I think it might have been Darcy, where you were talking about like Mr. Charles and the idea of like something going on underneath within the city of New York, because they're very protective of New York, right? Matt Murdock is very protective of the city of New York and what it means. And I think that even if we've looked at these past two seasons of Born Again, the city is a character. The city is the thing that they're fighting for. I think it is safe to say that whatever next villain is going to, show up is going to be someone who's going to want to kind of go after New York yet again. And maybe this is the season that we get Fisk and Matt working together to overcome something to help New York. Do you know what I mean? Like that, I think that's the next logical step for them. It doesn't mean that they're buddy, but
but it's more the evil you know is better than the evil you don't.
Well, the enemy of my enemy, right? Because
Yeah.
they've been playing with that theme throughout this entire season in some facet of whether it's
with
between
Bullseye, yeah.
Well, yeah, with Daredevil and Bullseye, or even just the way the whole situation was handled between Fisk and Matt, right? Like
Yeah.
even in, I think in episode 2 or 3, I can't remember, but you know, like, hey, you know who Daredevil is. Why don't you just make it appear? Well, you know, now I'm gonna call out a blind lawyer. Now everyone's gonna love this guy,
Yeah.
right? So, and like he's the one that saved his life. Like their relationship is so much more layered than just a rivalry at this point. And you know, I think the next evolution, if we're going to get into season 3, is them having to work together. And maybe that's what is the thing that brings Fisk back to New York, is Matt needs him. You know, Karen and you know, them need him to kind of help figure out what's going on, because maybe it is Mr. Charles, and the only person that really understands what Mr. Charles was up to was Fisk. So yeah, maybe we just crack the case ourselves, guys. Jeez, look at us.
And they both have beards.
I think they'll both have beards. There's no way that they're filming right now.
At least for a portion, we will see them both bearded. I don't know if the beards will stay the whole season.
Oh, yeah, I guess
I
not,
hope the marketing
but
plays into that, and they release a trailer where everyone has like Karen has a beard, like everyone just they got BB with a beard. The second B is my beard.
It would be interesting if they started to do the marketing where it was just the two of them, but like their beards were connected. So it was like, you know, like they're like upside down, like
right,
you know, like Fisk's face and Matt's face, and it's like
the beard makes a 3 in between them.
Exactly.
The skyline reflected in the water in the background, so you can look at it both ways,
right? And like, will Fisk have hair? Because like, I don't know, like it'd be really crazy to see Fisk with like a huge beard, but like he's bald.
I think that would look pretty sick. I think you could look sick like that. Yeah.
No, it definitely would look sick. Vincent D'Onofrio pulls off a beard like nobody's business, so it's like he looks great.
I think again, Kingpin has better amenities than Matt will. So if he wants to shave his head, I think he can. The beard might just be by choice.
For sure.
Wanted to try something new.
I guess that's the biggest thing. Is his bald head? Is Fisk's bald head like sort of a alopecia thing, or is it like no, he bicks his head? Do we know that? Do we know? Does he? I
don't know if we've ever solved that mystery, Justin.
I don't know. I have.
Write in and let us know. Has the comics ever dealt with that? I'm asking our Marvel encyclopedia.
Yeah.
Gee, has they ever had a
that's
scene
not
where
what my
he's just
brain
like,
stores.
Yeah, no. Yeah, well, you know what? I think it's a perfect time to wrap up this spoiler-filled discussion for Marvel Television's Daredevil Born Again season 2.
The first scene is just it's just like, what is it, like shaving cream, but it's Bullseye like putting it on the top of his head like in the shape of a bullseye. Sorry,
but that's how he's back. That's how he comes back, right?
Yeah.
Like it's like, I can't go back to New York like this. And he's just like you know, just you know, and they do the macro close-ups and they play
Bullseye's
like some
throwing a
violin
knife
music
to shave it off.
Sure.
Cool.
Well, listen, this is it. This we're done. We've already gone around the sun twice with this whole thing. So
the sun being Fisk's bald head.
Absolutely. Well, that is it for our spoiler-filled discussion for Marvel Television's Daredevil Born Again season 2. I think this is I'm very excited for season 3. I think we all are after the way this show ended. If you're excited and you want to let us know, well, you should write into us and let us know at wearegeekcentric@gmail.com. That's wearegeekcentric@gmail.com. You can also find us on Twitter at GeekcentricYT and on Instagram and TikTok at We Are Geekcentric. Now, keeping things Daredevil specific, we do have our interviews out right now on YouTube at youtube.com/geekcentric and on podcast feeds featuring Vincent D'Onofrio and Charlie Cox. Wilson Fisk and Matt Murdock themselves join us on the Geekcentric podcast, and we chat with them about their role and the characters that they play, and having lived with them for so long. We also talk with the showrunner Dario Scartapane and Sana Amanat, executive producer of the show, talking about building the character and building the world of Daredevil for this second season. They were the ones that actually let me know that they were filming season 3. I was like, I thought it was a secret. I didn't understand why, but apparently they were very open about the fact that they were starting production very soon on season 3, which is in production right now, which is crazy. So those interviews are available on YouTube at youtube.com/geekcentric, as well as on podcast feeds. Keep in mind, we have a ton of other great episodes out now for you to enjoy, like our most recent spoiler-filled conversations for Star Wars Maul Shadow Lord Season 1, and our spoiler-filled conversation for Invincible Season 4. As always, you can find all of our most recent interviews out now on podcast feeds and on our YouTube channel at youtube.com/geekcentric. We are hitting the summer months. We got Mando and Grogu coverage coming up towards the end of May, Toy Story stuff in June, so much more. We're super stoked as we get into the hot, geeky summer. So be sure to subscribe to us wherever you listen to podcasts so you know when our latest episode drops. Well, Darcy, Nate, thank you so much for joining me for this spoiler-filled discussion. And as we say,
Love ya.
Laters.
Peace.